sticky. I personally feel that the quality has gone down a bit. Hey guys, I thought I'd change up the background a bit today and film in the sitting room, so that's why it's a bit different. Vintage bags, I feel, are really making a really big comeback, and actually I've ordered my first vintage bag and it's turned up today, and if you want to see what it is, come and have a look on Sunday, because it's absolutely stunning. And I've filmed David's reaction to it as well, my husband, because I was really curious to see what he thought. I'm going to show you the bags, the oldest bags I've got, and I've got bags from 2007, I think, and a lot of these are kind of making a resurgence. So I'll begin with this one, which, although they still make this has got stuff in it actually. Do you know, I do not know what is in there, but there's like, I think it's biro marks. Anyway, this is one of my, this is a bag that I got in 2011, and it's the Louis Vuitton Artsy bag, which they still make. Now at the time, this was it was 900 and something. I think it was either 950 or 980. At the time, in early 2000s, who remembers, a big old tote bag was really in, and now I feel like, I'm sure it will come back round again, but I feel like they're kind of not in now. This was actually bought for me by my lovely husband, and he bought it for me as a wedding present after we got married, and I was like completely not expecting it. And this bag had been one that I've been looking at a lot at the time, and I really liked it. Now since since having this, a lot of you know I've really gone off the monogram pattern. And also I don't use bags this big anymore. I use really quite small bags now. And so it's a bag that I haven't used in probably since 2014. I haven't used it for that long. Let me just show you a close up. So it's got like this down here, and it's got like a keychain on the end of it. It just doesn't look nice. At the time, I think it did. It's in quite good condition though, because I do, if I can focus on this for you, is that focusing? I do try and really look after my bags, so the metal wear on it's really good. Now the other bag is this, and I'm thinking about reusing this. This has to be from like 2012, I think. I remember deciding on this one, I really wanted to get the multicolor, and I remember at the time, do you remember when the multicolor, they were announced they were discontinuing it? And I've always really liked the multicolor. I find it really cheerful. And I decided, right, I want to go and get a multicolor bag before I cannot buy them anymore. And there was this bag, and there was another one which was kind of like a bowling bag version of this, and it had kind of like the studs on it. And I remember going into the Sloane Street store to get this, and I was really kind of, oh, which one shall I get kind of thing. And I ended up deciding on this one. I really do like this bag, but it has got a downside. The downside to it is, and this is why, well, there's two reasons why I don't use it that much. The first reason is this clip here is so annoying, because the metal on this bag is so heavy that when this is undone, let me just undo it. So it's got a zip opening there. When it kind of falls forward, it rubs against the lock and it puts scratches on it. And in order to clip it closed, you've got to actually kind of concentrate on it, because can you see the way the bag crumples in? Well, unless you've really filled it and that bit's kind of straight. So let me just show you this. So this is what I mean. Can you see this here? This kind of scratching. This rests on that and then kind of knocks against it. The problem is with this bag, when you want to close this section and the bag's zipped up, it's very difficult to close. You actually need to put your hand inside the bag to push this out. If you see, this is actually, can you see what I mean? It's a real palaver. In order to be able to, I think I'm demonstrating the point here. In order to be able to close it, Look, I think I've proved the point, it's really hard to close. And then if you don't close it, can you see the way it hangs back here? And I was always worried about creasing that bit of the canvas because of the weight of this. So I love this bag. It has not been worn much at all. The condition of it's really good. I used to really like Louis Vuitton, you know, kind of like back in the day. And I personally feel that the quality has gone down a bit. So these bags are all from the early 2010s. And I feel back then that the quality, including things like the linings, there we go, that is it closed. So if you lie the bag down flat, you can close it. I actually think I might use this today. I think it can be really difficult to style these bags because they're quite fussy and they're quite kind of like, in a way, quite dated. But the fact that vintage is coming back in, I think helps as well. I feel like 2020 has really been a year where a lot of us have kind of had the time to reflect on loads of aspects of our lives, and it's given us free time. Like, for example, I don't know about any of you, but I've been cleaning out my closet. I've dug out clothes from like 13 years ago that I haven't worn in forever, and I'm kind of just enjoying things again, things that before, when I was busy with work and like busy social life or whatever, I didn't have the time to go and play about with stuff, and now I do. I feel like Louis Vuitton quality's gone down, and they're not a brand that I absolutely love these days, but I do love my older pieces. The next bag, which a lot of you have seen already, and there's kind of a story to this, is this, which is another bag I'm actually thinking I might just use. This is a 2007 Dior Gaucho bag. So back in 2007, they were still making the saddle, and you could get the classic saddle, which looks like what's out now, or you could get the Gaucho version, which is slightly different shape. It's very similar, but it's kind of more slouchy. And you could get this in the gold, which was, this one was quite hard to get at the time. The main colours, I think, were like cream and brown, and the brown was kind of this colour. And the story behind this is, David got me this for my birthday, and I was not expecting it at all. So I remember at the time, I came home from work one evening, and my birthday's in November, so it's like really dark evenings, and I'd had a really stressful day, and I felt really tired. And I used to finish, like in the industry I'm in, you typically finish work very late because you're kind of service industry. I work in like marketing for agencies, and it's really typical that you leave late. So I remember getting home, and David had made dinner, and he was like, go and take a shower or whatever and get ready because I've made dinner. And I remember being shattered and walking into our bedroom, and I put the light on, and on the bed was this huge white Dior, you know, the bag, the paper bag. I still remember that now. I'd never before had a designer bag. I'd always wanted one. I love the design, and I love the heritage, and I love the quality. And you know, at the time, I was obsessed with River Island bags, but I was always buying more because they'd be like that plastic leather, and I remember the linings used to like rip up. And so I was always going and buying a new one. Those sorts of bags I was really happy with. But when I saw this, I was stunned. He had bought this in his lunch hour from Selfridges, because he used to work in London at the time. And I was stunned, because he was like, I managed to get the gold one. And then at Christmas, he got me the wallet to go with it. Now this bag is actually brand new. The story is, he bought me this bag. I was using it at the time, and I was at a Christmas party, and I had this on my shoulder, and one of the metal rivets came off, and then as I was dancing, the other one came off, and basically the strap completely detached from the bag. And we took it back to Dior, and Dior just gave me a new one. And by that point, I'd already been using the bag for nearly 2 months. this packaging is original. I've never taken this off, and I think I am just going to use it. The reason why I didn't want to is because if I show you the wallet, because this is kind of got glitter on it, like you can feel the glitter ingrained, it doesn't wear very well. Now the wallet is going to wear worse than the bag, because obviously the wallet you're constantly like in and out of it, and the bag I try and touch it a lot less. But that's why I've never worn it. But I think, you know, what are you going to do? Get to the end of your life and be like, oh, that bag that I never wore that I loved. So this is the wallet, and I think you can kind of see what I mean. I'm going to compare it in a second to the bag. The gold's kind of worn off, and it's quite worn along here as well. But on the inside, that's kind of how it was. You can see the difference there. And then if I can show you, it's got the Dior monogram on the inside. And now if I compare the two, I think you can really tell, can't you? The bag is still very iridescent because I haven't used it, and it doesn't have the signs of wear that the wallet does. If I turn it over, I think it's worse on the other side, as you can see there. But would you look at the iridescence on that? I don't know if the glitter is showing, but the glitter isn't tacky glitter, you know, like children's glitter. It's tiny, tiny, fine pieces in there. It's not too much at all. And then on the inside, it's still got the packaging, but it's got the Dior monogram lining. And then two kind of final things. The first is this. I was just thinking, I actually had this bag at one point in the silver. So this is the Gucci Boston bag. This, I think I bought this, you know, in 2009. And I don't know if I've ever told you the story about it. Forgive me if I have and it's boring. But at the time, oh no, I've got to show you something in a minute that I've just seen on this. So at the time, Gucci were one of the very few designer brands that sold online. Louis Vuitton didn't. I'm not even sure if Chanel had a website where you could view the products at that point. And I remember also really wanting a pair of Chanel earrings, but in my mind I was like, oh, Chanel is synonymous with being possibly more expensive than most other brands. And I just imagined that the earrings were going to be like £500 or something. And I think it's because Dior, even back then, always felt more accessible. They always felt more friendly. Whereas in Chanel, they always have been a bit standoffish. But Gucci were one of the only brands that were selling online. It just felt accessible. I didn't have to worry about going in the store, looking around, and then realizing there was nothing in there that I wanted, and then feeling stressed in case the person was like, great, you've just wasted my time. I just felt more relaxed. This bag came up, and I really liked the shape of this bag anyway. But this came up on the site, and it was a Valentine's limited edition. So I remember, I actually might have had to have placed the order. It was at the end, I got it in 2009, February, but I think I placed the order online in November or December. I remember I had exactly 4 months to get the money together, and it was £400. Now at the time, £400 for me was a lot of money. And I thought the fact that I've got 4 months to do it is good, because I can work to that. Whereas if I had to buy it immediately, I wouldn't have been able to do it at the time, because a lot of you know I was paying off a lot of debt from university, and you know, every spare penny that I had, I was chucking into that. I was putting into credit cards to pay them down, and it was just and so I thought, oh well, I could do like £100 a month, and then by the end of it I've got the money ready, that kind of thing, and I'm still able to pay off my debts. So that's what I did. And I remember when it turned up in this like huge box, and I took it out of the packaging and like the dust bag and stuff, and I was blown away by it. I absolutely loved it. So by that point, these were the 2 bags that I owned at that point in my life. And I used this to death. Now let me just show you, I've just seen that the canvas is damaged, and I think I know how this has happened. Can you see there's a hole in it? It's like the canvas has come off. Now I know how that's happened. Can you see it naturally creases in that area? So I think that it's creased And then over time, that's come off. I think what I might do with that is I might put some glue in the hole to stop it getting any worse. And then the final thing, and it's not a bag, but let me know if any of you would be interested in a separate video where I show you really old accessories and jewellery that I bought in the past, because definitely in the early days, when I started working, I really liked this kind of thing, and I was buying more small leather goods and costume jewellery, obviously, than I was the bags, because the bags are like a really big outlay, whereas I could, you know, I used to buy things like belts and stuff like that, and this is one thing that I bought back then, and it's a Dior wallet. If I show you this, I used to use this size wallet. That was the kind of fashion, to have like a big tote bag, or like hobos were really in fashion, weren't they? And so having a wallet this size was just no problem, because the bag was so big that if you had a small wallet, it'd probably get lost in it. Do you know something? I said there, didn't I, that Louis Vuitton weren't selling online. I tell you who was selling online. Dior were. Because I bought this online. I remember it being delivered. They were definitely selling online at the time. Anyway, it's got 2 compartments and a zip section there. It has a card section at the back, which you can just about see. And this is what it looks like. Now, there is a downside to this wallet. And to best demonstrate it, I'm going to bring this closer to you and listen. Can you hear? Sticky. I did take this to Dior when they were in Westfield in West London, and they sent it off to Paris, but they didn't really do much to it. I think they just cleaned it with a cloth, and I was like, well, I already did that and it didn't work. If any of you know of anywhere that I can get the gloss layer put back on or repaired, or if you've had this happen to you and you have a solution and you know what to do, please let me know. I want to thank all of you for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.